Alright, we might be online if my modem decides to stay alive and not explode. I hope it doesn't explode. Gonna start again the music from Tabletop Audio. It's a great source of free role-playing games music, ambience and music both alike. And prepare the game over here. I think sound should be coming to you guys. Thank you so much for your patience because of my internet issues, but I think we're back online. Giving a few minutes for the stream setup to settle in before we start playing the Symbaroum adventure last session. Maybe, I don't know what will happen, but I'm planning on figuring out an end. Letting you guys know in Discord if anyone wants to join this game. Let me check the door. Hey Philip, I can read you now. That's a good sign that the stream is working this time. Yes, so today I released the Scene Unfolding Machine. That's a free GM emulator. Super welcome to try it. What Scene Unfolding Machine does is two things. Essentially, one is interpret or simulate what a GM would do in a group game. So it's like intervene in the middle of a scene, react after your characters do something, or let you know what the other factions in your game doing or the rest of the world. So that's one thing it tries to do. And the other part of it is like emulate PCs. Game Unfolding Machine has some of that, but Scene Unfolding Machine was always the one more focused on this with more results on it. It's got attitude, contribution, and an opinion, and then you can the results are sorted, so if you have certain bias or expectation about a character, you can roll twice and keep the most likely result, depending on which direction you want things to go. And then it has a bunch of tables for oracles and so on. So pretty good thing. It's a freebie. So the Scene Unfolding Machine is I think it's nice. It's optional. It's a supplement, but the way I use it is like when I'm playing and my characters are doing something and then the NPCs do something else and then the things happen and then I get like in a silence moment and I don't know if something could happen at that time or not. Like I would come with the idea if I had an idea, but what when you're like, okay, my characters just work on something and they let 1 or 2 hours go by. So then this kind of intervention checks are helpful there because you say, okay, does anything happen? And then Scene Unfolding Machine can tell you if something you wouldn't have thought of happens. But it's an auxiliary tool. I use it when I need it, sorry. All right, so I think we can recover the lost time based on the internet issues and get back into the game because we also have the Plot Unfolding Machine. Here I've got the sheet and I made sure the list is fine. We've got some world aspects in this Symbaroum game. One of the things was that there are 2 barbarian factions or families at war because of some internal matters between them and competitions in the trade routes. We've got an artifact called the Stone of Ixar stolen in the middle of a ritual that the characters were involved in. So this component was stolen, and it turns out it's extremely important because someone from the Church of Bryos, this large religious institution that's trying to expand its religion presence across Davokar, is interested in it themselves. So we don't know why, but they rescued us from trouble just to fetch it for them. So that's where we are. In the relevant actors, we've got a bunch of interesting characters, like Itharos the shaman, who helped us get where we are in the forest. We have the Vaivod clan. These are people angry with us, but also they need us to find the Stone of Ixar because we are the ones going to find it. And story troubles, we also have some bestial, some gnolls. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, like some... Yes, gnolls actually, like this human dog monsters that in Symbaroum are called bestials. These guys over here. They are actually supposed to be extinct, at least in this game or in this universe I'm playing here. But somehow they're here. So why are they here? Who brought them back? In the last session we said maybe some necromancer is involved or some corrupted force that's like somehow invoking them. Or maybe they were not extinct and they were just hiding somewhere in Davokar and now they show up. So a bunch of open questions. We also are quite at the end of the plot unfolding machine track. So I guess this plot track will represent our search for the stone. Doesn't mean the game will end there. But I might take that chance to then go and play something else later on. But at least this plot track, we have 14 beats to play before we can find a resolution to the game. The new plot unfolding machine works with these plot nodes, with scene beats that they are all randomizers of what happens next in our game. So we're gonna use it a lot. And the oracles that we're gonna use. A bunch of new oracles in the last version, final version of plot unfolding machine V7. I personally like it. It's less flexible, but at the same time more concrete. So it's like if you really need to get a who question, or where is something, or what about this or that object, then it's gonna give you something concrete, not just like a few words. Oh, thanks, Philip. Yes, the G is silent, so I should say null, not gnull. Good catch. There's 3 viewers in the stream. Welcome, everybody. Please feel free to join, ask questions, anything. I'm very welcoming you to join and watch. I just play like this anytime. When I record myself, sometimes I upload the videos on YouTube, sometimes I don't. So with that said, I don't have anything else. This is not a show. I'm actually gonna play. I don't have anything expected. Things might go bad, might go well, might be fun, might not be very fun to watch. I just hope for the best. So, in the last episode, our characters were in the forest of Davokar, very, very southern area, still not deep in the forest, still in the explored area of the forest. There are a few settlements here that belong to different barbarians, and our characters are here, where they found some of these gnolls or bestials. They were scouting, but our characters managed to keep stealthy. And they followed them and they learned that these gnolls are looking for the same things we are, which is an entrance to a cave. We still need to find it, but a shaman, a helpful shaman called this guy over here, Itharos, guides us. So not now, but he told us where to go, as he will keep the gnolls away. So he's gonna work for us by keeping those bestials away from us as we go and find the entrance to the cave that will take us to the demon, who also should know where the Stone of Ixar is, which is what we are looking for. After that, we don't know much about what we're gonna expect. We said goodbye to the shaman. He's probably busy keeping those bestials away from us, so we're gonna take this chance and hurry up, go looking for this demon imp who might tell us where the stone is. Having said that, let's play the first scene of today's session. Our characters are going to follow the directions to find the cave in the mountains. I'm gonna move our token 1 hex in this direction, and we're gonna roll from Goltas, the leader, this one here, a resolute test to see if he can follow the path. So I guess we are guided, so I'm gonna give us a +2 bonus, so we need to roll 13 or less to find our way properly and in time. We rolled a 3. That's a success. So Goltas says, "This way," and he enters some deep forest where the road and the path does not follow any longer. Rother asks, "Are you sure where are you leading us?" "Well, I was sure about finding and meeting our friend Etharos Water tonight. So if anybody knows this forest, it's me. Don't worry. I know where this cave is, or I think I do." Hydra will say, "I think you do. I think we're gonna think that you're right." And Golthas follows his instinct across the forest. This is a time for the scene unfolding machine, for example. It's like, yeah, my scene is quite empty. I'm not expecting much, to be honest. I don't want to run a scene beat because it's not plot relevant. So let's go for it. Let's try it because it's new. Nothing might happen is also a possibility, right? Not always things must be on fire. So D100. That's 60, depending on which order I read. I said 60. And 60 is fortunately remain silent. What do the characters do? Then they proceed until they find a cave. Now I'm gonna roll a scene beat because we arrived to the cave and I want to know what will we find over there. Or what will happen as we arrive there. That's where we go scene unfolding machine, scene beat, so I'm advancing the token 1 step. We enter the resolution phase. And we've got a 2 and a 5. 2 is a catalyst, 5 is to deal with PC's basic needs. Of course, we've been traveling for a long time. Goldas will say, "Welcome, here is the cave. Now, can we eat something, please? My stomach is roaring." I'm not sure camping at the entrance of this cave is a good idea, Goldas. "Well, I'm not entering anywhere and fighting whatever there's inside with my empty belly. Mind you, I am extremely hungry and, like it or not, I'm gonna get some food." I guess we can take a break, but it doesn't have to be at the entrance. However, if anybody comes by, we should be looking at them. But let's just take a small break and prepare ourselves before we enter the cave. Is that fine? Yes, yes. So they're gonna go and hunt something. I'm not gonna roll. I think they won't have any issues. But again, this is a great opportunity for Scene Unfolding Machine to tell me if something would happen as we hunt. Which I hope not, because I'm rather looking forward to enter the cave already. 66 is also remain silent, so we are gonna get what we need. It's fine, not always have to be shiny and fancy and things have to be exploding all the time. However, I'm gonna use the Oracle to describe a little bit what do we find, or what do we see. Maybe we can go to prompty questions to narrate a little bit the area. The prompty question of the day is 22. What kind of valuables or treasured objects are here? That's a good question. So the Davokar forest, as Goltas goes for hunting, and they are not yet deep in the forest, but deep enough that the trees are very extremely dense and it's overall dark. There is a mist, kind of a constant humidity, and quite some fog That means there is a reduced visibility. Goltas is a hunter, so he's carefully seeking for rabbits and other kind of things to eat, as Hydra will probably prepare some herbs to spice up the food, and Rothar is gonna essentially make camp. So they are gonna spend this time over there, and the kind of treasures in the forest are probably not seen, but they are rather ruins of Symbaroum. At least that's what we know. There was an old civilization that took over the entire location that today is a forest. I think internet is going down again. I hope we're still there. Maybe it was a spike. Anyways. But let's throw some random location from the GM guide of Symbaroum to add something more from this setting. Ruins in Davokar. I guess I would like to get something more wilderness-like. This is all trouble. Anyways, I'm not gonna get stuck here. Our characters are just exploring, and they're gonna eat. And eventually, as Sina Folding Machine said, nothing will happen in this round. Can we go yet? Says Rothar. And they take the time to eat and nothing happens, so fine. Let's go. Let's go. As we enter the scene, I'm gonna describe what do we see in terms of this cave. And there's this oracle here. It will help me describe location. Number 10. The cave is gonna be magical. That's good. And let's roll another. Oops, that I didn't want to happen. This is what happens when you don't lock the objects. So the other keyword is 34. There are forces and an army. So this is the prompt. So it's a magical place. And the keyword for the oracle is army, an army. As we go inside, the cave will not only be a natural cave, but there are going to be remnants of old bricks and stone. Probably wasn't it only a cave, but a tunnel in the times of Symbaroum. As we go by and walk the first steps into the darkness of the cave, that should take us actually up to the hill, if the shaman was correct. The cave reflects crumbling pieces of columns and old, abandoned and forgotten parts that one would find in a tunnel that was properly constructed in the times of the Elven. I'm gonna roll a scene beat here to see what is gonna happen as we cross by. 8 and a 1 is to confront a story trouble, and 1 is some tribal warriors. Fine. So I think these tribal warriors were there before us because we were watching the cave and nobody came in. This makes it likely that these tribal warriors are there either starving or stuck. Let's see in which conditions are they. I'm gonna ask a deterministic question to define the scene. So are these tribal warriors in a bad condition? 9 is yes. So we're gonna find 2 warriors here that are in the worst condition possible. Let me fetch a quick image for them. And here they are. And we're crossing by, and there's a column, a ruined column, and down in the floor, 2 barbarian tribal warriors, one of them either unconscious or dead, and the other is barely alive and coughing. Our characters take a look around to make sure if there are any other tribal warriors around. I'm gonna assume and arbitrarily say there aren't. These are just 2 of them. And nobody else is there. Rother has a torch, so he had to be able to see in the darkness, while Goltas does not need one. The other 2 are human, so they do need to see in darkness. Well, what do we have here? Help! I need their attitude to see if they are like really desperate or not, so that's where Scene Unfolding Machine can help us with some sort of attitude and see how they are taking things. I need a d20 here. 13. Despite disliking you, they remain respectful and calm. So, as we were saying, help. Looks like the cave isn't friendly to you, my friends. Let me guess, you are from the Voivode, aren't you? We are, and we are in no condition to stop you. What happened? What happened is a big question, right? Well, like, what happened to them? What could have happened? They could have fought something. They could have stepped on a trap. What happened? I'm gonna go... I don't want to make that up. So... these are the kind of questions that are hard because we need to reveal something for the plot. So we could go to the plot discoveries part and see enemy activities. Game Unfolding Machine has this useful table. I could make it up if you ask me, like if you're playing solo or learning to do solo, just make it up. Like maybe they fought something and they lost the fight. We said also this cave is magical, so we should expect some sort of supernatural influence, but I'm letting it to random. 8 stands for preventing something good to happen. Alright, that helps me a little bit. So let's see what they will say. We were trying to build a barricade in this cave. And what does that mean with you being in this condition? Perhaps we should give them some water. Hey, take this water. Thank you. Your friend, is he... He looks at the other one. Is the other one dead? 10. Absolutely. He didn't make it. I took the last sip of water he had. So, you were saying you were setting up a barricade in this tunnel, I guess, to prevent us from coming through. So much for that attempt. This place, it won't let us move anything or touch anything. What does that mean? We don't know yet, but as soon as we try to move that over there, and he points to a white, beautiful marble piece of column, It got us cursed, some sort of sickness. We felt weak at first, but failed to move it, and then we fell to the ground. That's it. Unless we are driving crazy, that's all we know. Fine, what do we make with that? I guess here we could learn something about the past of these ruins, right? So Rother would ask, Hydra, what do you think? Well, the first thing I think about is that obviously these ruins are cursed. And second, they don't want to be touched. Isn't that obvious? It is, I know. But is it safe for us to come through? I think Hydra, as a sorceress, she could try to protect us somehow, but it's going to be probably difficult. What should we do with them? That says Rother. We cannot go back now. We are in a hurry. Here, take a bit of our food. We have to move on. Were there others of your tribe around here? Let's see, what does he say? 10. Yes, of course. Did they proceed forward? 3. No, it's dangerous. Yes, there were others, but they came back the way you came. So none of you came through the tunnel to see what's on the other side? No. Alright, then let's move on. We have no time to waste. Does he say anything else? Like, is there anything he wants to add? If yes, I'm gonna roll a contribution, but let me check. 5. No. Weak no. So it doesn't have much to say other than be careful. If we don't make it, may Symbaroum be with you. Let's move on to the next scene beat, where I expect the PCs to go through the tunnels until the end of it. They shouldn't be that long, if we heard correctly. There should be some stairs going up, taking us up higher to the hills. So with that said, I'm gonna play for the next step a modified proposal where we advance through these tunnels up to the stairs until we go out to the hill again in this forest, so we can start looking for the demon. The modified proposal is 8. Bring someone unhelpful. Alright. And I guess if there's anyone unhelpful, would be a relevant actor, or who could be unhelpful in this place? I guess some bestials, right? Some gnolls. Okay. Fair enough. As we go through, I need to describe a little bit what do we see, what kind of area do we find. Maybe a place roll would yield something here. 2. Hard to find or get inside. So we're gonna find a place in these tunnels where there is a large wooden door that somehow didn't crumble yet, and at the front of it there are going to be Just one null protecting a door in the middle of a tunnel. So did we get to the stairs yet by this point where this happens? That's a 2, it's a no. So this is before we even got to the stairs. Probably this door is a bottleneck area separating this dungeon or these tunnels somehow. Let's describe a little bit more the location with the location generator. That's on page 15. And let's get a content. What is it in there? 6, there are weapons and valuables, possessions. Alright, so a gnoll is protecting one of these bestials. Is protecting this door, plus there are certain equipments that belong to them. We are 3 against 1, so we have the advantage, that's for sure. And we're gonna ask him, or try to ask him politely to move aside. It will be dangerous, but let's try. Let's get their attitude, and I'm gonna roll their attitude as opposed to our intention, so I'm gonna roll twice on their attitude and keep the highest. 19. Act very defensively, ready for a fight if it has to be, which is the more sensible reaction we would expect from them. I'm gonna play or prepare a battle here because it might be very likely the scenario. The characters approach with the weapons ready, aware of whether the bestial will attack on sight or if he will be willing to talk. Will he attack on sight? I'm gonna get a deterministic answer. That's a no. I'm rolling twice to keep the highest. Of course, I wish I preferred the no answer, but I'm gonna roll twice and keep the highest because I have a bias that they're essentially aggressive. Alright, so as Goltas goes first, he shows himself, so we are not surprising them in the case they were willing to talk. They will violently and aggressively and right away attack us. So I'm gonna get a quick battle map of these tunnels and trigger a fight. I intend not to spend so much in here. But I think I found a pretty interesting map to play this scene. Here it is. So let's go for a battle. It's a bit of a slow session, I know. The reason is that first I didn't have any dungeon prepared, despite our characters crossing a dungeon. And I didn't want to also. I'm trying to apply a bit on the let's say theater of the mind. Because I intend to cross these tunnels and get out to the Davokar Hills to find a demon, and I didn't want to make it a dungeon crawl mission. So that's the reason things were hard. It's like, how can we figure out what characters to find in a dungeon as they cross through is something typically in RPGs either the GM prepares or you have some sort of randomizer that tells you what happens in each room and generate the battle or the scenes of each room and so on and so forth. But in this case I wanted to keep it simple. However, these ruins are going to be... I don't like this picture, to be honest. Give me a second, I'm gonna find another one. A bit more fighty. Yeah, I think this is much better. So, let's place our characters over there. Some sort of throne with the door behind. And the characters are somewhere around here. I'm gonna make them smaller relative to the scale of this map. Cool. And the enemy is just one gnoll. Or gnoll. Sorry for pronouncing that over and over in the wrong way. And he's watching there. We said they will attack right away. So let's generate an interesting battle. With Game Unfolding Machine Battle Generator. I'm gonna get some tactics and composition. Tactics is 18, key spot in the center. That's fortunate because that's actually already in the map. I'm gonna roll another one just to get another one. Number 4 is hidden for an ambush. Great, that also fits our expectation. There's probably more gnolls hiding for ambushing us. And 11 is one of them will have certain powers and magic, which fits a lot because we were supposing one of our assumptions was that the gnolls must have certain magical abilities in order to even think about the Stone of Ixar. They might have some leader shaman looking for it. The question is why are they still here? Is a good question. I'm gonna ask a deterministic question here. No, I'm not gonna meta myself. So as soon as we approach carefully to see if this gnoll would attack, he does. He raises a spear and throws it at Goltas. So he's surprising us in the first round. So Goltas is gonna roll his defense. Where are you, Goltas? This one is Goltas. His defense is 7, so with a 7 or less I can avoid. Dodge this spear. I'm gonna give myself a bonus because Goltas was carefully approaching this gnoll. We saw him first. So +2 in our favor, 9 or less will dodge the spear. Ouch, that's a 19. That's a terrible roll for Goltas. He didn't expect this gnoll to be such a great javelin thrower. And that's a big problem. This gnoll so rapidly throws up a javelin at Goltas' direction. He tries to dodge, moves a bit to the right. Hydra tries to move to the left, but Goltas doesn't seem to be fast enough to dodge this javelin. One of them must have weapons. These guys have bows or two-handed weapons. Okay, I'm gonna switch that they have a javelin instead. And what's its damage? 7-4. That's 5 damage. Is it fixed? I think so. 5 damage for Goltas. That's not great, but he's got some armor. I think, okay, Goltas, what he does, he's got these rune tattoos. On a reaction, the rune tattoo provides a +1d4 bonus to armor against attacks. but only if the character chooses to activate it. Activating the effect costs 1 temporary corruption for each attack that hits, and the character decides whether or not to use it before he or she rolls for other kinds of armor. In addition, the rune protects from weather and wind like a full set of clothes. So this Goltas goblin is like not wearing any shirts, and he's just full of these rune tattoos that he decides as he sees this javelin coming toward him, just to his chest. He concentrates and in anger channels it to turn on these runes and make his skin become a demonic armor. He then can soak 1d4. That I'll need the 4 very much, if you ask me. I need something to write on, because these characters are not writable super quick. Something like this probably is gonna be just fine. Or better, this one, yeah. Great. So, Goltas is gonna roll a d4 to soak this damage with his runes, and he's gonna soak 2 damage. That means he takes 3 out of his toughness, which is 15. And he takes also 1 temporary corruption. Golta's eyes are all turned in the color of his spiritual shadow, and the spear seems to shatter a little bit as it hits his naked torso. The runes turn bright and his eyes go blue. They begin to emanate a demonic power. Goltas then gets in this vicious mode with his runes turned on. Now, Rother is gonna act next. This is a fight, so I hope, guys, this might be a little bit slow, but the session overall is a little bit slow. I'm taking my time, I know. So, Rother the Thief, he's got throwing knives. That's not bad. He's gonna move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and try to target this guy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches, which is correct. His knife. Rother attack is a 14. He's throwing knives and his accurate is only 10, so he will miss. The gnoll dodges the throwing knife. Hydra, on the other hand, what will she do? Hydra's got an unholy aura. She can activate this and send out an aura of unholy energies that harms enemies. It deals 1d6 damage, ignoring armor. The aura affects all cultural beings and beasts within sight of the mystic and remains active until the mystic fails a resolute test. So essentially it's a curse. And so much she's gonna do this. She's gonna take her staff, move forward 6 boxes and curse this beast. How does it work exactly? Resolute test. Alright, and to deal 1d6 damage, ignoring armor. That's good. Hydra's resolute is 15, so 15 or less is gonna hit. Should not be hard. That's a 5, great. And then the gnoll is gonna take 6 damage. That's a 2. Hold on, I didn't roll this. Come on. There you go. That's a 5. And this thing is gonna take... How much toughness do they have? These glowing fighters, they have toughness 11. Oh, what happened with my notes? So Hydra is going to take corruption 1 so far, and the Bestial is gonna be at 5 damage out of 11. Second round. Let me share the stream with somebody. They're asking to join us. All right, for the second round, it's time for those reinforcement ambushes. The question is whether we will detect it. First, let's see how many more Bestials there will be there. Let's say 1d4 plus 1 would have been reasonable, so 2 more Bestials will show up, and we need a vigilance test. 10 or less, and we won't be surprised. That's an 8. We aren't surprised. So Rother is gonna say, more are coming, be careful. And 2 more Bestials come from the sides. To join the fray. So in the next round, this is gonna throw another javelin, but Goltas is not the most dangerous one, but the Cursing Sorceress is. The Sorcerer's Hydra has got defense 3 with soaking 1d4, so it's very likely she's gonna get hit. That's a 7. She gets hit by 5 damage. Is it like that? Like fixed amount of damage? That would be broken for Symbaroum, isn't it? Bow 5. I need to review how these character sheets work, because 5 damage constantly would be way too high. Yeah, that we need to answer right now, because if they do 5 damage every time they attack, that would be extremely violent for us. But could be the case. Is there any explanation for this? Monsters and adversaries. Not here. Let's see in the book itself. Player rules. Monsters, page 196. Monster traits. Yeah, I'll have to take my time to figure out, like, how do I know what damage do they do when they attack? Because definitely 5 per round would be way too much. Anyways, let's proceed with 5. We have to soak it with a d4. That's a 2. We take 3 damage. Hydra takes 3 out of 5. My god, that's not great. She's like half dead already. She's got to pull back. The other gnolls will move forward here. Gonna make this one rush with a 2-handed bastard sword. Up to 6 moves. Hi Estra, thank you for joining this session. Nice to see you here. Yes, it's a bit of a slow session. My characters are currently in a combat I could not avoid. So combats are always a little bit slow, and I need to figure out the rules, but other than that, my characters are on their way to find the Stone of Ixar, somewhere past this dungeon, where they expect to find a demon who will tell us where the stone is. We don't know what will the demon want in exchange. So, this knoll over here is gonna be the caster one. This bestial is gonna be the caster one. He's gonna curse Rother just as Hydra can do, to make it simple for myself, because I don't think I have bestials who are shamans or can cast any spells. These are essentially always warriors, unless the caster is not a bestial but someone else. This is what's challenging when you don't prepare, but yeah, so I'm not gonna make a caster appear right here. There's somewhere there a caster, probably their leader or something, but it's not gonna be in this fight. So this guy is gonna come rush here and attack Rother with his two-handed sword, which deals 7/4 damage. That's not great for Rother, who's got how much defense? 6. 6 or less to avoid this damage. And a soak of d4 if he... Oh, that's a 4. That's very fortunate. Rother dodges the attack, pushes away to the side, and the bestial misses his attack. Cool. That's helpful. And this one here is gonna throw the javelin at Goltas. Goltas' defense is 7, which he fails, and he takes 5 damage minus d4 with his runes, minus 4. That's 1 damage for Goltas and a second corruption for him. What is his corruption threshold? 6. Fair enough. Now the characters act. Rother will take his short sword and attack this bestial himself. He rolls a 20, that's a failure, a very, very bad failure, so he's gonna miss. The bestial is gonna fight pretty well. Goltas, on his other hand, is gonna rush to this guy and strike him with his bastard sword. He rolls an 8, that's a success because it's lower than his strength, and his bastard sword is pretty painful. It's gonna deal 12 damage. I need a d12. That's a 5, and these things can have armor of leathery skin 7. Does that mean they have 7 armor? I need to check these rules again. This wouldn't be reasonable if you ask me. I would need to deal more than 7 damage to do anything to these guys. Too late, I'm in the fray already. For the sake of this game, I need to check those rules. But for the sake of this session, I'm gonna make them have a d4 of soak damage, just like my characters have. It would only be fair. He soaks 3 out of those 5, so this bestial 1, bestial 2 is gonna take 2 out of 11 damage, and the bestial 3 on the left is still on 0 damage. Trying to think what could my characters do to get a meaningful advantage in this fight. I don't think I have many resources, to be honest. Let's just keep trying. Hydra on her side, what can she do? She could definitely throw another unholy aura, but she's sustaining one. She must do a resolute test to keep her spell going. 15 or less, she can keep it, that's a 15. So this guy over here, Bestial number 1, will take another d6 damage, ignoring armor. That's 4. Takes him to the 9. He's heavily harmed. And Hydra's gonna pull back and hide behind these rocks, because otherwise she's gonna have a bad time. So this guy is injured here. Now we could write down their stats over here much more conveniently. This is Bestial 2 and he's injured through to 11. This is not injured. And this guy is very injured. I think for the sake of the plot, I don't want to have this video recording the entire fight because it's pretty slow. So I'm gonna assume we're gonna fight this battle just for the sake of streaming. Because playing online an entire combat, it's not the most fun thing to watch. So, fast forward a little bit. Hydra with her spells, she's gonna sustain the unholy aura and it's going to make the Bestial here retreat for his own sake. And later on is where he will eventually fall. Come here. And this Bestial is gonna fight a tough battle, dual battle, kind of tied. Rother with his short swords, keeping at a distance this huge beast with a bastard sword, and the actual one rescuing will be Goltas, that he will kick this Bestial's ass back, and then he's going to rush forward to flank the other Bestial. And the question is, do they fight to the death or not? Because that would be relevant for the plot. It's unlikely they fight to the death, but who knows, maybe they are fanatics or something like this. So a deterministic question. That's a 7, they do fight to the death. So this will also fall. And this is where the combat finishes. The characters are gonna proceed, follow across the door that they have seen, and look up for the fallen Bestial that might be still agonizing up here. Before we do that, I'm gonna check the scene unfolding machine for any potential surprises. That's a D100. That's a 4. 4 means the GM would remain silent, so nothing will happen. And I'm gonna ask another subjective question to check whether this Bestial is still alive by the time we get. 1 is no, definitely not. So as we arrive, this Bestial over here who was cursed by Hydra will be also dead. That's not good. In any case, we would have not understand them. They speak an old ancient language. It's not for us to understand. What do you think they were doing here? Definitely protecting this way. Which leads us to Ivor the imp. He should be somewhere out there from this side of the tunnel. Maybe we should just go. Agreed, says Goltas. Takes another look around to see if anything happens. Let us check if they have anything with them first. And characters are obviously going to loot the bestials. Rother won't, he will keep watch, and Hydra is gonna investigate their dead bodies. I'm gonna ask Blood Unfolding Machine whether they will have any sort of clue, anything we might learn about them. We've got an 8. That's a yes, they will have something, some information we can learn. So let's get the plot discoveries here and get a clue type and a useful finding to see what do we learn from this situation. This is from Game Unfolding Machine. So let me roll again. 4 and a 7. 4 stands for an enemy mistake or overlooked a detail. And 7 is some useful object or item that assists a goal. What I'm coming up with this is, as they are exploring and looting this bestial to see if he has anything of interest, Rother will be able to spot something somewhere around this pillar here. Hey, I found something, he tells the other. What is it? I think they were trying to hide something for Amas, but they didn't do it in time. Or probably in a rush. Look. Hydra comes and they see some sort of pointy object that might be, I don't know, resembles a key. That's what I'm coming with. And Hydra looks around to the sides and sees that this place here, there's probably another smaller door. Maybe that's a key. Maybe they are storing something over there. Let's take a look. And they find this like a rushed small box where this key was there and they didn't have the time enough apparently to hide it or something like this, who knows. But for whatever reason we found a key. And Hydra and Rother approach this door. Goltas will take some javelins with him. I don't think they will have anything of interest on themselves, and eventually follow them here. So they go in this direction. There's a small room within this old ruin, and I'm gonna roll a scene prompt to see what do we find. This gets us very close to the end of the game. 3. Lay out a skill challenge. Okay, which challenge? 10. Recall knowledge or logic. Alright, we need to have a challenge of some sort where there is some sort of puzzle or... yes, something to make an understanding of. As Rother pushes the key into this keyhole, the door is gonna emanate a spark of light and then just immediately turn off. What was that? That's not normal, says Hydra. Golta stays behind and he keeps watch to figure out whether something else happens. Some sort of old magic, very likely. Do you have any ideas? I guess Hydra could roll a resolute test to make an interpretation or figure out whether she learned something. I guess it's gonna be hard, so it's a -3 difficulty. She needs to roll 12 or less to learn something here. That's a 12, that's a success. So she tries to think a little bit what's on this door. There are some runes, and I have an idea. She says, Goltas, come over here. What? Says Goltas. Come here for a second. Goltas turns around and goes over there. Annabella, she had given you a stone, right? So if we take out the plot unfolding machine stones leads, Goltas had a stone which was given by Annabella. She's the plot giver. She gave us that. And she said it has some rune markings on it. So since we're talking about rune markings, I'm thinking the stone could have these markings. Let me take a look. Sure, but Annabella said you shouldn't touch it, only I can do it. Yes, just I want to see, not touch it. Do the markings match? I'm gonna assume yes, for the sake of the plot. Get them closer to the door. Rother, move aside. And they both move aside to give Goltas some space. And he's proceeding there, taking the stone with the key. And at the same time, they have a magnetic force where the key gets attached to the stone. It becomes the back of the key itself, as if it were missing a second part, and perfectly fit in there. Now, another plot breakthrough, since we are toward the end of the plot, based on the plot unfolding machine plot track. I'm gonna make the next scene beat, where I expect Ivor, the demon imp, who we had an active lead saying that he was imprisoned, to be imprisoned right here by the Bestial. That would fit perfectly what we were looking for. They might have imprisoned him here. So that's gonna be the expectation, and I'm gonna play it with a modified proposal because that's a third scene beat. I count it as relevant for the story. But the rule says the beat proposals need to be modified. So let's roll a modified proposal check. That's a 6, stands for add hope or relief. What could be hopeful or relief that could be added to this scene? I guess it's a good thing to find the imp over here, and what could be a relief is that he's alive and willing to talk, so that spares us a lot of checks and questions about his status. So we're gonna meet the imp demon. Let me fetch a very quick picture of him. So we can communicate with him. This picture is great. So, figuring over here. Picture from the internet, and there we go. So this is happening inside some room. We need to describe this area a little bit, so I'm gonna use what the location generator of Game Unfolding Machine to describe a little bit what is this place. I'm gonna roll some content to see what's inside and maybe a feature. So 2 properties to describe this location better. 6, secretive, hidden. Yeah, we know it's secretive, so it's definitely a secret chamber of some sort. And 5 is knowledge, literature, data. That's the content. So it's gonna be a secret chamber full of books. That's the room that we unlock over there. Inside it, there is a right circle with greenish and reddish flames, where inside them we see a floating imp. He's a shady imp, more in the Symbaroum approach. That's shady face, no clear form, broken wings, even hands coming from their wings. Extremely ugly, I would say, or terrifying, to say the least. And I'm guessing we talked about some shaman enemy or a magical force, the boss of this story, would have imprisoned him. So if whoever that is, he's gonna appear right now. Let me get a relevant actor. I think it must be. Is it someone new? Let's ask an arbitrary story question. 8, it's a yes. So it's gonna be someone we don't know yet. So I don't know when, but there might be someone who have set this up. So Hydra will say, I'm gonna set a barrier. We will need time and protection to talk with Ivor. Golta's gonna say, hi, you must be Ivor. We were looking for you, says Rothor. So let's roll Scene Unfolding Machine to see what's the attitude of this NPC. Because I don't know how to roleplay him, to be honest. I'm gonna guess somewhere toward... No, I don't know. So let me just roll and don't say anything else. Attitude is number 3. Greet you normally and openly. Okay, so he must be a friendly imp. I know who you are. I know why you are here. I can feel it. You have the key to free me. He looks at Goltas. Well, I have a key to many things. You are looking for the stone of Ixar. We are. Will you tell us where it is? Well, I'm gonna give a final plot twist because we're towards the end of the plot. You have a piece of it. I can give you the second part. How so? How so? That's a good question. So for the last an ending scene beat, I'm gonna reuse it now and call something at random that happens now. That's a 6. Detach or endanger a relevant actor. That's a good thing, I guess, or a bad thing. And the actor will be 9. Someone new. So someone new will be endangered. And I guess the only explanation I can say is that the shaman who is imprisoning this imp is going to be connected to the second part of the Stone of Ixar. And he didn't make it work because essentially he needed the part that Goltas has, the other part of it. Let's get a figuring over here. And they will eventually show up. Let's roll their attitude and probably a contribution they give when they show up, because I don't want to have a fight right away. So, attitude is a d20. I'm gonna roll twice and keep the highest. To have a bias toward bad characters. They will act very defensive and ready for a fight, so they're gonna be dangerous. And their contribution is 23, about something in common with the PCs. Okay, so they're gonna approach saying something that we are all alike and this kind of speeches, that we're actually together and not against each other. However, they're gonna be distant and remain enemies. Treasures always come back to the hands of their masters. Comes a skeleton looking shaman full of bones and covered in ornaments that probably belong to dead animals, if not something worse, or monsters. Actually, one of their skulls belongs to a bestial, the very beasts that seem to be fighting for him. I'm gonna make 2 of these come on behind him, so I don't think the shaman will come alone. And everybody's gonna turn around and look at this guy coming. And he will say, "It is good to see that we are not very different from each other." He talks with a very calm voice. "Perhaps we can help each other. After all, the Stone of Ixar is just but a small representation of the Dark Lords." "What are you talking about?" says Goltas. And Hydra's looking at him as well. "I have one piece and you have the other. If we work together, we might be able to release what has been in the waiting." So I need some sort of, what are they looking forward to do? Like, what is their main motivation? Because we need that here to roleplay these characters. In order to do that, I'm gonna go to the Game Unfoldings machine, Evil Motivations, and roll that. 74. He is under the influence of toxic consumables. Does that make sense? Probably yes. We can always make it sense. And let's see the evil intentions. 96. Refused to forgive or have piety. Okay. So this guy is gonna do anything to get this stone. He won't be very welcoming to it, to any idea of like really sharing it, but at the same time he seems to be taking something in order to be able to see what this stone has to say. So this is what he's gonna share. "I can give you a taste of what it feels to understand what the Stone of Ixar has to show. However, there is no turning back. Once you see in the beyond, it's going to stay in your memory forever." I'm just gonna ask, because she's a sorcerer, she's interested in corruption per se, so she's gonna be very well engaged. So she's gonna ask, what does it do? What have you seen? Why don't you just share what you have seen? So we can together say who keeps the Stone of Ixar and decide the destiny of it in the right hands. "The stone belongs to me, as I have seen the beyond, and only me can understand what it needs to be done. You will have to trust me." No way, that's not a good deal for us. And nothing in exchange? No. We have already an offer, and we will keep our part of the stone. We need to check what is the contribution of the imp, right? Because it's an important character. At the end, he's a demon who can see the stone and its location or its feeling, and he has been imprisoned, so he's gonna be somehow asking us to release him, which maybe it's what Rother would have been doing in the background. I'm gonna roll Rother's discreet to see if he could release somehow the imp. If there's such a mechanical lock of some sort, which is extremely unlikely, it's a mechanical lock. But maybe the ritual somehow can be disturbed, or... No, Rother cannot break free the imp by himself. But he's gonna at least pay attention and try to figure out whether there is a physical way to release the imp, or at least to talk with the imp and see what's it's trying to say or mean, which is very hard because this doesn't even have a face. So let's see what's the imp's contribution in this story. A D100. 1 and 7. 17. The imp is going to ask about the PC's concerns and be ready to be of help. So he's gonna assist us. He's willing to support us. Hydra and Goltas are engaged with this guy, and Rother is gonna look for a way to release the imp. That's all. So we need a discrete roll. Roll 12 or less. It's an important roll. That's a 12, right? What we needed to succeed. So Rother can be discreet and figure a way out. He's got he's trapper, so he could also set improvised traps in case the bestials, these gnolls, come after him. So he's gonna also at the same time drop some of these sharpnel powerful traps on his back just to lure them into him and figure out a way to release the imp. I'm gonna guess there is a powerful stone keeping this imp imprisoned, and Rother can touch it or push it, or at least feels like that will interrupt the jail. But at the same time we need Hydra to keep this guy busy. I think Hydra will notice that Rother is doing this, and she's gonna make him talk. So, if you're saying the stone lets you see in the beyond, in whose hand is the stone safe? And what will be the incoming of it? Let's see what the stone itself will do and finally reveal its secrets. What's the purpose of this stone? Let's see if we can get something cool out of Game Unfolding Machine with a 78. A strong superstition. Alright, corrupted by a strong superstition is the stone. And I will need probably some other oracles help, but I'm gonna make it up because I don't want to roll forever. So the stone is a superstition, it's a belief. So he will say, the stone is nothing on itself. It is rather a safe hold. Now, if you want to be on the safe hold of what's going to happen anyways, give me the part of the stone now. I won't ask twice. At that time, Rother pushes the stone away from the prison of the imp, releasing him. And I'm gonna make this imp very powerful, so to end this short adventure right here, as the ritual is interrupted, the prison is interrupted, Rother will take, of course, some corruption, because you never touch stones without any consequences. He's gonna take 4 corruption. Let's see his threshold. Threshold of corruption is 4 for Rother, so that means he's gonna take 1 permanent corruption point. That means Rother himself is gonna start twisting on his own, and he will hear and feel his bones cracking and twisting. He feels a terrible pain. He does not sure whether this pain is real or just a trick on his mind. He sees his own hands, and he sees the very imp he's trying to self in his own hands. Is he becoming one, or is this what the imp has been through? Is an open question. in between Rother's pain, the demon is gonna unleash himself, fly fast towards the shaman, and with its own hands, it's going to grasp the shaman's head and rip it off. Right after, Goltas is going to rush and attack the two bestials who are going to try to defend, without a cause, their dead master. Eventually, the fight will be over, and the imp, in appreciation, is going to give Goltas the other half of the Stone of Ixar. The other half of the Stone of Ixar was not in the hands of the imp itself, but was the very mask this evil shaman was wearing. Goltas will take the stone that was his in his right and matches his own runic forms of his own tattoos, and fit it exactly in the helmet's form of the other half of the Stone of Ixar. The last question, because we are in the last scene beat already, I'm gonna ask is what happens next. I'm gonna roll for an intervention check. Maybe nothing happens, maybe something will happen. And if something happens, I hope Scene Unfolding Machine doesn't ruin this very interesting moment with something that doesn't make any sense. 15 means that nothing will happen. Let's try again, just to see what would have, like, whether this were a good idea or not. 73 says, triggers a scene complication that thickens the plot, of course. So, perhaps we can take that as an answer, thicken the plot and finish the session today here. It was a very, very weird, very, very slow session today, I know it. It's not easy to play like this, making up things on the fly so hard, but it was fun anyways, and I like this ending. When the piece of the Stone of Ixar fits the helmet of the dead shaman, a burst of light fire is gonna come out from the demon, and he will say, finally, we are but free. And he will go and fly away, and everybody will know that Ivor, the demon, was the real evil in this place. Goltas is gonna say no, and I'm gonna ask one last question: whether the Stone of Ixar is still in our hands or it vanishes for some sort as the demon flies away. It's gonna be a determining question. Sorry, what am I doing? I need to roll just 1d10. For the Oracle, 3. Does it banish? No, it doesn't banish. So Goltas will still have the Stone of Ixar despite the demon flying away with its evil laugh. And with this, eventually the characters will come back and return the stone to the Church of Prios, as they seem to be the only ones who would have a place to hold it in safety and act as a neutral place in the war of the barbarian clans. I'm not going to play that part, but I'm going to conclude this short adventure there. What happened with the demon? What did he really want? We will not know. And who was this shaman, and why did he bring back the bestials with him is also an open question. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and until the next adventure. This was definitely not an easy game, but visually speaking, this tabletop simulator is a great way to play games. I cannot complain. Thank you, everybody, and until the next one.